Solai Dam disaster is one among many other disasters that have rocked the country over the last few days. From the Doble attack in Mandera to Nyatiki mines tragedy, these events put to test our disaster preparedness and response as a country. Are we prepared? Welcome to Wiki in Review, and we are focusing on disaster this morning, among other topics. And joining me is Mark Bichachi, who is a writer as well as a political analyst. Mark, it's good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you're here because one of the articles that you wrote on The Standard this week or earlier last week was on the issue of disaster. As a country, we always wait for disaster to happen until we can respond. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think Kenyans have a problem preparing for disaster. I think Kenyans have a problem preparing for nature. Kenyans are surprised by rain and our roads are suddenly filled with cars. Kenyans are surprised by the night and everyone begins to run home. The problem with the Kenyan state is we do not actively plan for what is inevitable. In engineering, it's called testing to the point of failure. What do I mean? That we must, as a nation, understand that every year, twice a year, there will be rain.
Right.
We must understand as a nation that twice a year, there'll be cold weather. But if you look at the amounts of pneumonia we have, the amounts of disasters we have, and the amounts of potholes we have, is a sign that we do not prepare for what is nature. Let me tell you what I mean. The potholes that in the piece that you've just done are not brought about because of the rain. They are brought about because there's no drainage. In all of those roads you showed, you would have seen that there's no drainage, and when water does not drain from bitumen, bitumen falls apart. This is a fact of nature.
I like that, what you just said. The potholes are not caused because of rain.
Yes.
It's because of lack of proper drainage systems, which Nairobi has a problem with.
It's not just Nairobi. You see, the problem is when we want to develop in Nairobi, we sit down and we go like, listen, I need a flat in South Sea, then we build a flat. And that's the problem. You cannot just decide to build without planning. Actually, city planning should always be led by the city council, or in this case, the county government. So by the time we're deciding to develop Ruai or the Eastern Bypass, or we are developing whatever it is we're developing, the first infrastructure we must put in place is what is government level infrastructure. The drainage, the power lines, and the roads needs to be built by the government before the houses come.
You know, Mark, you're talking about the houses, and I saw a very powerful tweet that really describes our situation. You can bribe government officials, all these county people, to have your flats there, but you can never bribe Mother Nature. If she decides to rain, it will pour and it will flood.
But you see, the thing is, you don't need to bribe her. Plan for her. You see, this is the problem. Japan sits in an earthquake zone. They have earthquakes every 5 years.
Right.
But they're always prepared for them. Kenyans have rain every year. First, this is the problem. Today in Amatatu, there is a woman praying for God to stop the rain and repenting because Kenya has sinned. Come December, same woman will be repenting because there's a drought and now Kenya has sinned. Kenya has not sinned. We're just foolish. This is our problem. We cannot be surprised by nature every year. You see, so what needs to happen is, as a nation, we need to sit down, both government and society, and decide, for example, that in Umoja, we are going to concentrate and build drainage systems, because you'll keep repairing the road when it's dry, and then when it's wet, it will become a pothole again.
You know what the sad part is that in all of this that we're seeing is that every single year we know that we're expecting rains. The Met Department says Kenyans prepare for floods. They even give out warning issues. The rains are going to stop. We're going to go into a bit of the dry season and expect rains next year. Sadly, this is going to become the same situation all over again.
Exactly. And you see what needs to happen. Number one, we need to realize the blessing of rain as it is. That's one. Number two, we as a nation need to begin to prepare for global warming and how it's going to impact Kenya. Kenya is one of those countries that is in the red zone as far as global warming is concerned, meaning that the impact of global warming would be heavy on our country. First, we need to stop depending on rain-fed agriculture, both for our animals and for our crops, because right now the complaint from farmers is the rain is too much, now the produce is going to get spoiled. That is foolishness, because what needs to happen is each farmer should be encouraged to dig a very deep well within their own compounds and store this water that is raining now, so that if your crop is destroyed it now, you can replant it during the dry season. So that's what needs to happen. Number two, if we all had a consciousness about capturing, storing, and then reusing rainwater, then what would happen already is the amount of flooding that we are seeing will reduce. Look at countries like Denmark. They literally reclaimed their land from the sea. We are not in that state yet. We're just talking about small amounts of rain that we are incapable of harvesting. The amount of potential that comes from this rain is a lot. So instead of looking at it as a curse, we need to create programs within which we're able to harvest this water to use on the proverbial rainy day when there is no rain.
All right, Mark, what Mark has just talked about right there is water harvesting and the whole issue of what is Denmark and Japan doing right that we Kenyans can borrow a leaf from. Week in Review has just begun. Would love to hear your thoughts in regards to this. And have you grabbed your paper of the Standard this morning? You will see the sad, heartbreaking pictures of Patel Dam. Week in Review is coming right back after this short break.